You've landed back at Rich Holistically Botanica. My name is Mo. I'm your host, and today we are talking about the 2026 basket and the 2027 cradle. Because the more I sit with this, the more I realize we're not just looking at a pretty pattern in the sky. We're looking at a power conversation. In July of 2026, we have what people are calling BARBAULT BASKET. Jupiter in Leo, Pluto in Aquarius, Uranus in Gemini, Neptune in Aries, forming this rare, beautiful configuration. And in case you have never heard of André Barbault, let me introduce him before we go any further. André Barbault was a renowned French mundane astrologer. Mundane astrology is the branch that looks at nations, governments, world events, civilizations, and the big collective weather. Not whether Mercury is retrograde, honey. It's bigger and messier than that, and also more expensive. Barbault worked with what is known as the Gaussian-Barbault Cyclic Index. I know, big word. It's a pattern-based method that tracks the relationships between the outer planets, especially Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, to look at collective rises, falls, crises, and turning points. He was not the only astrologer to work with this kind of planetary cycle theory, but his predictions were outstanding enough that people still talk about him today. His most famous prediction was connected to the 2020-2021 pandemic period. Now, years before COVID, Barbault pointed to that period as a major low in the cyclic index and warned of the possibility of a serious pandemic. So when astrologers talk about Barbault's basket in July of 2026, this is not just somebody making a cute shape in the sky and naming it after a picnic accessory. This is connected to Barbault's larger work with collective cycles. Around July 19th through July 21st of 2026, with some astrologers extending the window through July of 22nd, Jupiter in Leo, Uranus in Gemini, Neptune in Aries, and Pluto in Aquarius form this rare cradle or basket pattern in the sky. Barbault saw this period as a major turning point in the evolution of humanity. Some have called it the most beautiful configuration of the 21st century. And yes, we will keep that in mind. But we will also keep both eyes open, because beautiful configuration does not automatically mean everyone gets a free cupcake and clean water. It means powerful forces are creating opportunity, and my question is always, opportunity for whom? Also, tiny whisper from the back of the temple. Barbault also pointed toward another difficult pandemic-type window that's going to take place around 2030. Now, I am not building today's whole post around that because we already have enough on the table, and I am not trying to give anyone a nervous breakdown with glitter on it. But I am mentioning it because cycles matter, patterns matter. And when someone with that kind of track record points to a turning point, I listen. Then I side-eye. And then I research. So the basket formation is taking place on July 19th through the 21st. That's the peak period. Now, some people are calling it a cradle, a golden age signature, a light at the end of the tunnel. And I do think there is hope in it. But I also have a side eye, because I was born at night, but not yesterday. And I was also born with a very strong Mercury sitting close to the heart of the sun, almost Cassimian. Yes, did I mention it was retrograde? Retrogrades are a way of life for me. Mercury is not the only retrograde planet in my chart, but this is not about me. Well, not entirely. Let's just say I know retrograde weather when I feel it. And let me be clear, a retrograde is not the undoing of the universe. It does not mean every electrical gadget you own is suddenly possessed and plotting against you, although sometimes the printer does seem personally unwell. A retrograde is the sky calling you to pause. Step back. Take maintenance inventory of your life. What needs fixing? What have you known needed fixing but kept ignoring? What has been leaking while you pretended not to see it? And now the leak is getting worse because apparently denial is not a plumbing strategy. Retrogrades say, go back and look again. Check what you missed. Review what you assumed was fine. Revisit the things sitting right in front of your eyes that you somehow still managed not to see. That is the medicine of retrograde, not panic, maintenance. Now let's get back to the basket. Let's break this down. Pluto in Aquarius is the machine. That is the data centers. That is AI. That is technological power. That is control. That is surveillance. That is the hidden infrastructure underneath the public story, in my humble opinion, allegedly. That is the system being built behind the screen while everybody else is being distracted by the shiny little app on the front end. That is Pluto in Aquarius. Now, Jupiter in Leo is opposing Pluto, and Jupiter is a societale planet. Jupiter is not just good luck and expansion, though yes, he does have a buffet and a dramatic entrance. Jupiter is the social graces, the entire society. Jupiter's law, belief, morality, the public story, the big table, the collective meaning, the question of what we value and what we are willing to bless. So when Jupiter in Leo opposes Pluto in Aquarius in 2026, society begins to look across the table at the machine and say, wait a minute, who is this actually benefiting? Who gets the light? Who gets the stage? Who gets the power? Who gets the profit? And who is being asked to stand aside while the future gets built without them? That is Jupiter opposing Pluto. Then we have Uranus and Gemini. Now, some people like to call Uranus humanitarian because of Aquarius, but let's not get cute. Aquarius still belongs to Saturn. Aquarius is not automatically love and light with better Wi-Fi. Aquarius is systems, structures, rules, boundaries, control, the collective container. Uranus is not the ruler of kindness. Uranus is disruption. Uranus in Gemini says, here is the breakthrough, here is the shock, here is the message, here is the signal, here is the split, here is the accident, here is the sudden opportunity. And if that does not work, fine. We blow something up and call it innovation. That is Uranus in Gemini. Now, Neptune in Aries is also involved, and Neptune is water. Neptune is fog, Neptune is glamour, Neptune is the dream they sell you. Neptune in Aries says this is progress, this is the future, this is heroic, this is bold, this is for humanity. Lovely. But I want to know where the water is coming from. Because if Pluto in Aquarius is the data center and Neptune is the water, then the whole fight underneath this beautiful basket may be about access to water. I'm just saying, allegedly. Not symbolic water only, actual water, clean water. Water needed to cool the machines. Water pulled from towns, rivers, aquifers, farms, and stressed local systems. And no, they cannot always just use ocean water and call it a day, because salt corrodes, minerals build up, impurities clog systems. Desalination costs money, energy, infrastructure, permits, and creates its own waste problem. So when tech leaders and governments start shaking hands and calling it opportunity, I want to know what opportunity means. Opportunity for whom? Because when Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune are working together beautifully, that may be beautiful for them, for the tech bros, for the governments, for the investors, for the people who already have access, for the ones building the machine. But what does it mean for us? What does it mean for the people who live near the water? What does it mean for the farmers? What does it mean for the towns? What does it mean for the children? What does it mean for the land? In 2026, Jupiter in Leo is still holding that opposition to Pluto. So society may begin to notice the imbalance. But I do not think we fully see it yet. I think 2026 opens the door. I think 2026 creates the opportunity. And I think 2026 shows us the deal. But in 2027, it becomes very clear, because Jupiter moves on and Ceres moves into Leo. Now, we need to talk about Ceres. Ceres is not just some cute asteroid with a wheat crown. Ceres is now classified as a dwarf planet, larger than Pluto. Ceres is Demeter in Greek mythology. Ceres is the mother. Ceres is the food, the agriculture, the harvest, the land, the children. Ceres is the body of the earth. Ceres is the one whose daughter was taken into the underworld by who? Pluto, who she will be opposing. And in 2027, Ceres steps into Leo and opposes Pluto in Aquarius. I love whoever created all these symbology, because they tell such a great story. Do you understand what that says? The mother faces the machine. The mother stands across from Pluto and says, you took the daughter. You took the land, you took the water, you took the seed, you took the future, and you still expect me to feed you? Absolutely not. Because in the myth, Ceres does not keep producing while Persephone is gone. She does not smile, she does not clock in, she does not perform wellness while the world robs her. She stops the harvest, her grief becomes winter, her refusal becomes famine, her daughter's return becomes spring. That is the story of the seasons. Climatic, weather, change. that changed weather patterns on Earth. So when Ceres replaces Jupiter in that Leo seat in 2027, the conversation changes. In 2026, Jupiter says, have faith, expand, build, hope. But in 2027, Ceres says, give me back what was taken. This is not softer. This is tougher. This is a mother with dirt under her nails and grief in her chest, and she is not here to be polite for the comfort of thieves. Now let's talk about the other feminine bodies around this, because Ceres is the headline, but she is not alone. Pallas is involved in the larger feminine weather. Pallas is Athena. Yes, strategy, pattern recognition, politics. The mind that sees the battlefield. But let's not pretend Athena is always clean. Athena is also the one in the Medusa story who stands with the structure, not the wounded woman. So when Pallas shows up, I ask, whose strategy is this? Who is making the plan? Who is using intelligence to protect the vulnerable? And who is using intelligence to manage the optics? Because strategy is not automatically wisdom. Sometimes strategy is manipulation wearing a helmet. That is Pallas. Then we have Juno and Taurus. Now, Juno is agreements, marriage, contracts, betrayal, fairness, the deal, mergers, agreements behind closed doors. And Taurus is land, food, money, ownership, the body, and resources. So it's agreements, contracts about the land and access to it. Juno is in Taurus. Now, she's not part necessarily of this barbell basket, but she's a side energy that's swirling out here. What does Juno bring to the table here? Well, Juno and Taurus ask, what agreement has been broken? Who made this deal? Who got married to power? And then we have Algol in Taurus, and that's where Juno comes in to play, because Algol is the beheading star, the Medusa star, part of the story of Athena, the place where feminine rage gets turned into a monster because nobody wants to look at what was done to her. Algol has two faces. One is horror, and the other is refusal. The refusal to be controlled, the refusal to be possessed, the refusal to be made pretty, quiet, obedient, and useful. So when we bring Algol into this larger field, I am watching the rebellion of the feminine, not soft rebellion, not please respect my boundaries rebellion. I mean the kind of rebellion that begins when the feminine realizes nobody is coming to save her, and she better remember where she left the blade. So here is what I am seeing, allegedly for entertainment purposes only and all that. 2026 is the basket. Jupiter in Leo opposes Pluto in Aquarius. Society begins to notice the machine. Pluto is the data center. Neptune is the water. Uranus is a sudden technological opportunity. Jupiter is the social question. Who benefits? But 2027 is the cradle, and Ceres in Leo opposes Pluto in Aquarius then. The mother faces the machine, and now the question changes from who benefits to what was taken, what water was taken, what land was taken, what food was taken, what future was taken, what daughter was taken, because the daughter is the earth. The daughter is the soil. The daughter is the seed, she's the water, she's the harvest. The daughter is the body of the living world. And if the daughter is dragged into the underworld of technology, extraction, privatization, and control, the mother does not keep cooking. The mother does not keep smiling. The mother does not keep feeding the machine. She stands over the field and says, nothing grows until this is made right. So yes, I think 2027 may be tougher than 2026. Not because hope disappears, but because hope gets tested. 2026 may plant the seed. 2027 asks whether that seed can grow in poisoned soil. And if it cannot, Ceres will not pretend. She will not decorate the problem. She will not serve dinner over a grave. She will ask who stole the water, and she will ask who controls the food. She will ask who owns the land, and she will ask who signed the contract. She will ask why the machine gets cooled while the people are told to ration. And baby, when the mother starts asking questions, things get loud. That's it. That's all I've got for you today.